Hi, I'm Carol with Let's Talk Dementia. Thank you for joining me today. Before we get started, I want to remind you about that little button down there that says subscribe. Press that button. That way you will not miss one single episode. And the more people who subscribe, the more often it will pop up in the feed for YouTube, and the more people who will know about what we do. Also, check out our Amazon #1 best-selling book called Let's Talk Dementia. It'll be the best 15 bucks you've spent in a while, or I think you can get it on Kindle for like $3.99. That's an even better deal, isn't it? Well, today I wanted to tell you about a phone call I received this morning, actually, from an individual who was looking for in-home care for herself. Now, there are many times in our life where we may need in-home care, even just temporarily. I remember once when my sister had knee replacement, she needed in-home care just for a few short weeks as she recovered, as she lived alone. So that's always something that could come up. And with our folks with dementia, we oftentimes realize we need in-home care. Maybe you don't want to move to an assisted living, or you can't afford it for your loved one, so in-home care becomes something you investigate. That's a good option. But what we want to talk about today is how to choose a good in-home care company. Well, I can tell you right off who not to hire. Okay? You don't want to hire an individual to do in-home care that you have not checked out thoroughly. Many times we want to hire our next door neighbor or the lady at church, and we just bring them in and ask them to do this work. Well, you want to find out, have they ever done it before? Do they know how to help someone dress and undress without hurting them? Do they know how to help someone get in the bathtub and get out of the bathtub safely? Do they even know how to help someone rise from a chair and not hurt them or themselves or the caregiver in that process? Just because I like you and just because you like my loved one does not mean you're qualified to be a caregiver. On top of that, you need to do a background check of anybody that you hire privately. You need to do a drug screening on them. You need to find out, do they have their own transportation, or are they depending on somebody to bring them to work? See, that's a red flag, because as soon as that person providing the transportation is not available, then suddenly you don't have a caregiver. And then you need to think about who is going to fill in when that particular person can't work that day. How will that affect your life? And then the other very important fact is you need to realize that you are now an employer, or at least the person they're caring for is now an employer. You need a tax ID number. You need to be paying federal, state, and Social Security withholdings on that employee. And when you don't do that, then you are in violation. It's more of a violation for you, as I understand, than for the employee, because you did not do your due diligence on the employee's behalf. So that's something to give a lot of consideration to. The other thing that you want to think about is hiring an in-home care company. Now, this is a company that has checked out their employees. They know all of this about them. They know their background. They've done a background check to make sure there's no legal issues there, that there is nothing outstanding against them. A lot of places will do actual credit checks to see how they handle their money. And then, of course, the drug screen. They have already done this. Now, the wonderful thing about that too is when that particular employee calls in sick and can't be at work that day, then the company has somebody else they can send. That's important. So you want to be sure and find out about that. Then you want to interview the owner of the company, or at least the higher ups that you're going to be interacting with. And you want to know that you have a feeling of comfort and ease in communicating with them. Realize that when they send someone into your home to work for your loved one, if you are not happy, you are not under obligation. You just say, I'm sorry, this is not working, and you go on to the next company. Just because you have contracted with them for that day doesn't mean you've contracted for the next. So you've got to be happy and content about this person who is caring for your loved one. It's very important. So keep that in mind. Check out the companies thoroughly. But the very best thing you can do to determine what in-home care company to use is to ask your friends, ask your church members, ask your neighbors, check around, get personal references, not references from people who are trying to sell you on their company, but from someone who has nothing invested in who you choose. So keep that in mind. Well, I hope that gave you something to think about as you go on your caregiving journey. Remember this, knowledge brings power, power brings hope, hope brings smiles. We all need more smiles. Okay, so here's your funny for the day, because I hope I make you laugh or giggle a little bit with each episode. There was a mother who had invited a group of people to dinner, and her 5-year-old daughter was part of that dinner. As they were all seated around the beautiful table with all the wonderful food, the mother looked over at the 5-year-old daughter and she said, "Honey, would you like to say the blessing over our food today?" And the little 5-year-old said, "Mama, I don't know what to say." And her mama said, "Honey, you just say in your prayers what you hear Mommy say in her prayers." So the little girl put her hands together and she bowed her head and she said, "Oh Lord, why did I invite all these people to dinner?" That's kind of cute, and it made me giggle anyway. Blessings and smiles on your day. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel. When you subscribe, you'll be able to stay up to date on our latest videos, and all of the videos are free. Check out my book, Let's Talk Dementia. It is available on Amazon. The link is in the description below. Blessings and smiles.